Now we talk to two companies who play a vital role in literally going the last mile with delivering the vaccine. Wes Wheeler is president of UPS Healthcare, one of the sponsors of today's event. And he's here along with Dr. Sree Chaguturu, chief medical officer of CVS. So, hey, how are you, Sree? It's good to see you again. So, I think that this is going to be fun because I love having both of you here because we can talk about moving lots of stuff and then getting stuff into people's arm. And then you can tell me where, when I can, line up and do this. But let me just start out for a second and ask, Sree, what do we need to know about the challenges of being that last inch? And then I'm going to jump to the last mile.
Sure thing. So at CVS Health, we're honored to be playing our part in helping to provide vaccinations to the country. And that has first taken part as part of 1A as the LTC, the Federal Pharmacy Partnership for Long-Term Care, where we've provided now nearly 2 million doses since the beginning of this program. And that really turns into about a shot every other second since we've had availability 24/7 of vaccines into the most vulnerable population in our country, the elderly living in congregate facilities. And then moving forward, there will be continued access as there's vaccine supply through multiple other avenues, through direct allocation to states, which then can use their trusted partners, as well as the Federal Pharmacy Partnership Program that allows retail pharmacies to have access. And as we think about what that last mile is like, it really is about vaccine access, ancillary access, which is the syringes and all the necessary supplies, as well as working with the facilities that have individuals who need vaccinations, or working directly with states or with individuals out in the community so that they know where and when the vaccine is available, what does it mean for them, and how to schedule and how to make that as seamless of a process as possible. So there's a lot that goes into it. Looking forward to talking to more details around that. And I'll turn it back to you.
Well, one of the things I want to do this because I think all the things you're doing, which are wonderful, they're important, they're great. None of it's possible unless all that product is moved to you. So Wes, I spend a lot of time with friends. I have a lot of colleagues and friends at UPS. I love UPS. I go, it's a fascinating when you kind of look sort of like Wizard of Oz, all this stuff moving around and you're sitting in the middle of it. But I think when you kind of talk about the challenges, what you have to bring to the table to kind of move this, share with our audience some of the complexity of this time and challenge and how you're dealing with it.
Well, Steve, thanks for having us. Again, this has been a great honor for us to be part of it. Of course, we just celebrated, by the way, between FedEx and UPS, delivering 50 million vaccine doses to the United States. So we're very happy to have crossed that threshold as of this morning. This whole journey started really 7-8 months ago, actually 7 months before the first package car delivered the first vaccine to the first point of use. We got to look at the clinical trials early on. I think you heard earlier on that we were involved with clinical trials. We got to look at the protocol. And when I saw 30,000 patients or subjects on the protocol, I knew we were in for something really fast. So we started working really hard at developing the task force internally, developing a model, understanding where all the manufacturing was being done, and then working with HHS. We actually called HHS and volunteered our help before Operation Warp Speed was even formed. And because of that, we were involved very early in planning all the lanes around the country to make sure that we were ready. And then as we started getting more information about the recruitment status for Pfizer and Moderna, we knew that we were headed for our peak season. So we launched in the middle of our Christmas peak season, which was the biggest peak season we've ever had. And so fortunately for us, we carved out enough capacity, and we still have plenty of capacity to manufacture, to make sure that we deliver everything around the country as required by Operation Warp Speed and our clients, Pfizer and McKesson.
Let me ask you both, and Wes, you can keep going. I want to then jump to Sree, but the president of Moderna had said COVID is not going to go away. We're going to have to learn to live with this. This is, this is what now feels like a unique moment, reacting to a terrible pandemic, getting some good patterns and habits in place, and hopefully solid vaccines. But this is not going to go away. This is going to be an infrastructure we're going to need for a long time. Are you, I don't know how to ask this right, but are you prepared for this to be permanent infrastructure rather than an anomalous boutique moment? Does that make sense, Wes?
Yes, absolutely. So what we did back in June is we made proactive investments in our cold chain capacity around the country and around the world, actually. And we also built a freezer farm in 2 locations, the Netherlands and also in Louisville, Kentucky. We built a technology so we could see all the packages. We have tracking technology. We invested in a lot of Sentry devices that we can track each package. Of course, we connected all the dots with the data feeds into our command center. We made a lot of investments, including a dry ice factory that we now have in Louisville, where we can actually manufacture our own dry ice. So we're well prepared now. We do believe this is here for good, and we are prepared for the next challenge, whatever that is.
Dr. Chaguturu, how on CVS Caremark, and you have a huge, vast network. I mean, this is now going, am I right that you're prepared for this to be, ongoing infrastructure that's required, ongoing time, ongoing jobs, both income, cost, all of the dimensions? I think it's important to get our heads around what that means.
That's right. We have been doing vaccination services for many years. In the year prior to COVID, we had provided 20 million vaccines. Retail pharmacy continues to be a significant access point for getting your seasonal vaccines or your chronic disease prevention vaccines. And so we have also done multi-dose scheduled vaccines like Shingrix, which requires 2 doses. So we already have the experience of being able to bring an individual back in for their second dose after they're getting their first dose. So the infrastructure was already built. And then we have been adapting our existing infrastructure to be able to do COVID vaccinations. And during this large surge, to get the American population vaccinated, we have the capability of doing 25 million vaccinations per month. And moving forward, that infrastructure, the clinical processes, the digital schedulers, our supply chain and logistics management, the analytic models we've built to ensure that we have the right product and the right labor force available is persistent and will be there for the foreseeable future. And just from a clinical perspective, I would add, we do see this as something that would be recurring. We won't know how long these vaccines will last until the long-term studies are done. But as we know, even from the clinical trials that are being spun up now from Moderna and Pfizer on boosters, the expectation is that this is an ongoing need for the country.
Thank you both. I mean, one of the other questions that occurs to me is because, CVS Caremark is so huge, you're almost everywhere. And Wes, UPS Healthcare, I don't know any place that you don't go, but maybe there are places you don't go. But there's a certain tension in this conversation between, those that are wired, those who are connected, those who have addresses. Tony Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci was on here earlier talking about, we got to deal with the person without the computer, the person without the bank account, the person without this. So perhaps this is an unfair question, but do you feel a responsibility to also think about how you deliver to, that last mile, how you deliver to that last inch for people that may not be as networked as we are? Wes.
So, Steve, thank you. There's 42,000 zip codes in the U.S. and we deliver to all of them. We have now in our database for the vaccines 15,000 addresses in our address book that just got increased to about 105,000. So, as of this week, the expansion of the addresses we have has really grown quite a lot. And so we are prepared now to deliver to every zip code in the U.S. We have had some pretty big challenges, which we've met. That's getting to the Pacific Islands, the Mariana Islands, Guam, remote parts of Alaska, some of the Native American territories around the country. So some of the first shipments that we made during peak and during the winter and during the nor'easter in the northeast, we did deliver to very, very many remote locations in the United States. We are ready and we're prepared, and we've done this before.
I don't remember the lines. You probably have them memorized, but I'm just thinking of the Pony Express, through winter and whatever, going everywhere. It's very impressive. But Sree, you have a huge burden as well. I mean, the number of vaccinations that you're committed now, that you've been asked to deliver, and so you've got your hands full. But I mean, do you think at all, as a doctor, as somebody who knows this area well I had Dr. Robert Redfield on, 6 months ago and said, Steve, we're going to have to find the homeless person, find out how that person's doing. If sick, get that person treated and taken care of, or eventually vaccinated. And so do you think, just as, maybe this isn't a CVS question, but it is a public health question. Do you think we have the infrastructure to do that?
Yeah, no, I think you rightfully said it just right there, that this is the challenge of our entire American government, American healthcare system, multiple sectors of the economy. We believe that retail pharmacy can play a significant role. If we look at our CVS Health footprint, our retail pharmacies, 86% of the population is within 10 miles of a retail pharmacy. And our pharmacists, as we look at our sentiment data and analyses, what we see is that for those who are hesitant about the vaccine, hearing from a trusted clinician that they personally know, is incredibly important about the messages around the safety and efficacy of the vaccine. And our pharmacists are routinely rated, and pharmacists across the country are routinely rated one of the most trusted professionals in healthcare. So having access as well as having trusted clinicians are both critically important. And if we move forward beyond that, we believe that the combination of those trusted clinicians, access points, as well as multiple ways to schedule that appointment can't just be digitally first. We have a strong digital scheduling platform, and we believe majority will schedule digitally, but we also have phone as a way to schedule your visit as well. So it's going to be important for the entire healthcare system, but we believe retail pharmacy can play a significant role.
Let me just ask you real quickly, Wes, we're sitting in Washington, D.C. I don't know where you are, but legislators, a new government coming in, new Congress coming in. What can this town do that it's not doing to be more helpful to you? And I'll ask the same thing of Sree. What do you need that you're not getting to succeed?
Well, this is my chance to put in a plug for what was called Operation Warp Speed. I believe they're going to be renaming it. But General Perna and his staff have done an amazing job of coordinating us. We really do believe we're a team, and that includes our competitor. So FedEx and Pfizer, McKesson, Moderna, and Operation Warp Speed, we all work together every day at all levels. And this has been a 7-month planning effort to connect all the dots, get all the data feeds to work with each other. The orders that drop from the states come in, and within 12 hours, we're off from the locations into our Worldport facility and onward. And we have a 20-hour average delivery time now, and we're running at 99.98% on time. And so it's been a great effort, and I just want to put a plug in for the team that's been coordinating all of this. And I think the best thing that the new administration can do is to leave that process the way it is, to help get the states coordinated with the federal government, and to get as the CVSs and the Walgreens of the world, make sure that we have enough nurses and enough administration sites ready, so that the vaccines don't go out of stability. So that's my pitch. Thank you.
No, that's important, and I'm glad you're. There's been a lot of discussion about whether things weren't going well, and so I really appreciate that comment. Sree?
If we look at the administration's plan around increasing the number of sites, increasing the supply, the personnel, the education, and then ultimately all of that should lead to more doses in people. All of those are critically important priorities for our overall national COVID-19 vaccination plan. But critical to our efforts as providing vaccination services, as increased vaccine becomes available, we're able to open up more stores and then provide convenient community-based access to vaccination services. So all of those pillars of the plan are critically important. And the one that I know Wes and I are working on closely together is on vaccine access into end sites so that we can provide those doses for those individuals who are eligible.
I love that you have someone special there in your room, I think. I just heard a cool... I love how human this can be. But Wes Wheeler, president of UPS Healthcare, Sree Chaguturu, chief medical officer of CVS Caremark. I can tell that you folks are working well together. Thank you for telling your story and sharing with us some of the sausage making of how this all happens, last mile, last inch. And I hope you'll come back and tell us, in a few months how it's going.
Our pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thanks.